century cycle. At least, if you don't understand what's in front of you, it probably means you are facing modern art. Left, Boisseau's Park. Behind, the beach. Right, Assumption's Church. George seems to have a particular skill for turning anything into art?
Timmarstil.
Residents of Saint-Exil, I observe you, and I see great suffering in you. You are deeply sad, and yet you persist in not wanting to acknowledge it. The situation here has been deteriorating for years, and no one has come up with solutions to your problems. No one wants to face it, but our village is sick at heart. Here and there, something
Completely locked.
The curse has befallen our lands. Well, these people were right. Saint-Exil is not just a village. This place has a soul. If you've lived here long enough, you've definitely felt it shining through its walls, trees, and cobblestones. At least you
We both knew you couldn't resist me.
could feel it. Something has changed, and it has for too long. A dark and silent poison proliferates in the veins formed by our alleys and ends up washing up at the foot of our doors, contaminating us a little more each day. Saint-Exil is not just a village, and its creation
Completely locked.
is no accident. The ancients never doubted it. Someone, or rather something, greater than us, decided to gather us here a long time ago. He made us build this village and protected our ancestors in exchange for his benevolence. Some of us honor him for that. It is the same entity which today has decided to call you to order and punish you. Unlike you, I never doubted its existence and its great power. It chose me to guide you, like a shepherd, bathed in the light of his wisdom. Join us, so that this nightmare finally ends. From now on, you are aware and cannot go back. If you don't bend to his will, you'll end up
I don't have anything on me to enhance my gun.
paying for it. Only one possible solution is offered to you. Obey!
Ne m'oublie pas.
This is very weird. This is very weird, Pierre. I found some ultra-bright and colorful sphere in this village. When I approach it, I start completely locked, feeling like I'm being transported to a totally surreal world, a blinding world, rather calm, in which the water can go up the waterfalls, like these columns of water. Have you seen them too? Compared to the daily grind, it's a rather pleasant world to sink in. It feels quite cold, though. In this dreamlike environment, I walk through Greek and Roman vestige, just like those we saw on our trips before moving to the coast. I have the feeling of being constantly exposed to things that we experienced in the past. It allows me to cling into many memories of our arrival in St. Exil, and all the events that took place before I was left alone here. Strangely, I have the feeling that time no longer passes when I find myself in this alternate world. Am I imagining this? Am I starting to daydream? Am I totally crazy, Pierre? Come on. Yes, take that there. Oh, I heard a sound behind the arcade. Next time, you'll take the bus. Damn, you always know how to surprise me.
Tu m'avais manqué.
I could attach this laser to my gun, see if that makes me more precise.
Ouf.
Since I deactivated the jammer on the keys of St. Exel, The fountains react sort of like portals, allowing me to see the village under the snow, as if I was switching over several months later and rediscovering everything in another season. When I approach Rocky from the fountain, the water gradually begins to light up. If the pebble comes into contact, everything changes immediately. I can literally change the weather in St. Exil on command. I read somewhere that the fountains were built a very long time ago, and that their source is the same groundwater deep under the village. That doesn't explain to me why it does that, but I prefer to warn you. Do you think there would be the same type of rock under the village directly? The only downside to all this is that triggering the storm using the rock doesn't work if it's snowing. And, well, it's super cold too. To restore some kind of joy and positive atmosphere in the village, the mayor and the villagers gave themselves hearts and souls to maintain the good performance of the festivals and the annual fair. To restore some kind of joy and positive atmosphere in the village, the mayor and the villagers gave themselves hearts and souls to maintain the good performance. Of the festivals and the annual fair. We like that kind of stuff with Pierre.
George's Museum. Local museum. Exceptional summer event.
So
Meet No the robot and take part in his treasure hunt.
Almost the whole village was there.
I don't see much. Let's walk with caution.
And to add beauty to the heart, the weather had even joined the party. It was a beautiful day. Ideal for celebrating outdoors. We took advantage of this moment to discuss work and professional future at St. Exil, still a little obscure for us. I was struggling to find a stable job in the area, and Pierre absolutely wanted me to pass this interview for a company that
1990. Inauguration. Always up to new challenges. Facing the power supply issues of St. Exil, George electrically autonomized his museum.
The many discussions we had on the topic, we never managed to come to an agreement. There was therefore only one solution. The final decision will be picked during one of the fair ball games. It was our tightest match. And Pierre had to throw the last ball. My future was in his hands. But when it was time to shoot, a very violent, almost deafening noise rang in our ears. It was 2 fighter planes that were very close to St. Exil, and in particular, the place where the fair was being held. And then after that, nothing. Or more precisely, silence. Everyone had their eyes fixed on the sky.
So you're Nico the robot. You don't seem super friendly for something made to amuse kids. Still, he and the museum look shut down for now.
Several seconds after that, there was a muffled sound in the distance. An explosion? I saw concern and panic creeping into the faces of the inhabitants.
Let's try to push it now. Now the system should be unlocked.
It's not normal.
George, with the momentary storm, your windmill system went into safety mode and stopped. I wanted to reactivate it, but I couldn't put my hand back on the lever. In the meantime, the museum will remain in the dark.
The planes and now this? What was going on? The silence was again broken by many birds coming out of the trees. The fair was surrounded by a forest, and we couldn't have any idea what was going on there. Thick yellow smoke began to appear. A few tens of seconds later, it already occupied almost entirely the place of the party. Pierre and I were paralyzed, unable to move. I saw
George, I wanted to reactivate it. In the meantime, the museum will remain in the dark.
the fair breathing in the gas and immediately collapsing as if dead.
George, I wanted to... In the meantime, the museum will remain in the dark.
We could only see about 20 meters away, I would say. And among this hubbub,
or rather this general panic.
So you're Nico the robot. You don't seem super friendly for something made to amuse kids. Still, he and the museum look shut down for now.
Distinguished sounds.
May the force be with you.
Voices, which were spoke through walkie-talkies. I couldn't understand, but I managed to hear a sentence. Only one. Grab them all, till the last one. At that time, I saw what seemed to me like dozens and dozens of soldiers coming out of the woods. They were everywhere. They were armed and wore suits that allowed them not to breathe the gas and probably see a little more clearly than us. In a burst of courage, or stupidity, Pierre and I fled as far as possible without looking back. We returned home, knowing that we were trapped.
For each coin you can get, a prize awaits you near Nico the Robot in George's workshop.
No puzzle can resist me.
We locked the door, taking one last look at the gas that was already progressing down our street.
I have a feeling that we can win gifts and they arrive right in this vase.
We were probably not the only ones who managed to escape. It was clear that they weren't going to leave us alone. We then thought of the same thing. We climbed up there top speed, and the box was still neatly stored, as if it was waiting for us. But we both knew on the way up, there was only one suit. Only one mask.
So, the wind turbines providing him with power stopped working. I wonder where they are.
Pierre left me no choice. It was so fast. I told him he couldn't do that. I didn't want to. Nothing worked. He made me put on the suit and the mask. I had tears in my eyes. I think he did too. He turned, looked at the window and exclaimed, "I see them. They arrive." And he took me in his arms and we stayed like that. I had the impression that it lasted for hours and just a few seconds. We felt the ground shaking, the furniture lying around vibrating. My eyes fell on Pierre again. He saw that I was terrified and I didn't want to let go of him. He looked at me and he smiled and he said, "Stay with me." Suddenly a kind of white light pierced the room from side to side, revealing us. He looked at me for the last time and whispered, "I love you, Elise." A few minutes later I woke up, at 8 o'clock sharp in the morning. I was lying in my bed, the light, the gas, the soldiers, Pierre. Everything had disappeared. I went outside. I was alone, left completely apart in St. Axel.
Let's find what this church has in store for me. Today a reader, tomorrow a leader. Well, they made sure to enjoy today. That's one elaborate sundial. Despite its look, I'm sure people can still use it. But I have a watch. It won't open from this side. This smell of dust and candles. No doubt I'm on the right track. I am gonna need a key for this one. Storage room. This setup looks recent. They probably did it just before the attack on the village. Okay, have some courage, Elise. completely locked. Transept. Cloister. Tomb of Father Roald, abbot who watched over the population of St. Exel. He dedicated his life to the village and the population. He distinguished himself in particular by his taste for religious, spiritual, and cultural texts. The large library of the Assumption Church is in his image. Tomb of Father... He distinct the large library of the Assumption Church is in his image. Cemetery. Shit. What are they doing here? I'm not sure I really want to know. It has been condemned by the sect. I could never open that one.
The time has come, my friends. Everything has been revealed to me. I understand why the most basic things, like having babies, has been taken from us. Our divinity, that required so much sacrifice, is still not content. The village kids have had it easy for too long. They need to share our burden. It talks to me and asked to surrender them to its will. Generations have forgotten how this village was built. It is time for a history lesson. We placed statues to display each person we sent to see. In their anonymity, they remind us of the road still to be endured. But be reassured, my devotees, this road is coming to an end. I found a way to communicate with our protector. It has chosen me as its vessel and talked to me so many times. I will finally be able to answer. A few of us were meeting secretly in preparation for our next and last action. It will all be revealed to you tonight after the festivities. Do not enter the crypt yet. I have the answers you have all been looking for. I will remove this poison from our lives.
The annual High Mass is still maintained for the day after the Feast of the Village. Like previous years, we are expecting many of you. The sect had chosen the right place and the right time to strike a blow. Tomb of the Darrow family who contributed greatly to the creation of the port of St. Exel. The fishing activity was so important that the family built their house at the end of the quays. They thus were the first informed of the contents of the merchants' cargoes in St. Exel. An envied position. The de Vignaux Mausoleum. They played an important part in the development of St. Exel. This family was in charge of the local agriculture. They ultimately defended the village by burning their own crops. The flower house was once their home, but it is now owned by the town. Vegetable garden and scriptorium. This door can be unlocked from the other side. This staging was prepared while the population was at the festivities. The population of St. Exel being already fragile. I dare to imagine the trauma of people if they had been exposed to this. It must have taken a lot of time to set up all this staging. A lot of struggling souls probably joined the devotees over time. A sheet is hidden under this pile of books. Father, I have heard noises coming from the crypt several times. It is during the night when I prepare the Mass that I hear them. Isn't the crypt supposed to be unlocked only once a year? The door is locked up tight when I want to access it. Interesting. This book traces the entire history of the church and the creation of this cross. I'll take it with me for my bedtime reading. This church seems to hide a lot of secrets from me. The Assumption Memorial Cross. It was created in honor of the people who participated in the prosperity of St. Exel. Looking more closely at the cross, one has the impression that some parts can be interlocked on the sides. Crypt. This door seems locked by a complex mechanism. This door seems locked by a complex mechanism. St. Exel also has its little jokers who come to tag everything they find. It has been condemned by the sect. Excellent. I could move faster with such a bike, but with these ghosts on the road, I really wouldn't be discreet. There are no bad moments to officialize a bond. Bulletin from the city of St. Exel. The structure has been weakened and water can infiltrate the wall. The town will start the repairs soon so they can avoid a collapse before winter. Doesn't look like they had time. Planks removed. This should weaken this son of a brick. Completely locked.
We like that kind of stuff with Pierre. So we went and took a look. Obviously, we weren't the only ones to appreciate. Almost the whole village was there. And to add beauty to the heart, the weather had even joined the party. It was a beautiful day. Ideal for celebrating outdoors. We took advantage of this moment to discuss work and professional future at St. Exel, still a little obscure for us. I was struggling to find it.
I hate it when it happens. Double bad luck for you. The other manhole is open. I'm going to push that plank.
Stable job in the area. And Pierre absolutely wanted me to pass this interview for a company that I had contacted.
I hate it when it happens. Double bad luck for you. The other manhole is open. I'm going to push that plank.
Despite the many discussions we had on the topic, we never managed to come to an agreement. There was therefore only one solution. The final decision will be picked during one of the fair ball games. It was our tightest match. And Pierre had to throw the last ball. My future was in his hands.
Ingeniosity is the key.
But when it was time to shoot, a very violent, almost deafening noise rang in our ears. It was 2 fighter planes that were very close to St. Exel, and in particular, the place where the fair was being held. And then after that, nothing. Or more precisely, silence. Everyone had their eyes fixed on the sky. Several seconds after that, there was a muffled sound in the distance.
I needed that.
Tu aimes mon cela nuit.
Left, the white manor and the lighthouse. This door can be unlocked from the other side. This road seems to lead to the White Manor.
T'aimas le style. Beau gosse.
Certainly not done with the place.
It was really soporific, but I managed to finish the book found in the church. There is a lot of information about this place and the village in general. It's sad, but it wasn't such a bad evening in comparison. If we go back many centuries, St. Exel experienced a much more sumptuous period. Originally, this village was only a small fishing hamlet by the sea, but it was located on the only road between two larger villages on the coast. It is with the cooperation of 4 great figures that the village
I have to go to this crypt. I feel that I am close to my goal.
developed and experienced its greatest activity, the Vigneaults, who ensured the agricultural activity of the village, the Derault family, who were dedicated to fishing activities, the Duc de Bliard, who ensured the defense of the village with his soldiers, and finally the Abbot Royot, in charge of the spirituality through its church. Thanks to the progress brought by this collaboration,
Ahead, left, St. Exel's Church.
St. Exel had been able to develop for 100 years. But, sadly, during the following centuries, the village did not know the destiny that we imagined, and this prosperity turned into a distant memory. In remembrance of this period, which still resonates until today, these personalities were honored with the presence of a tomb that are located in the narthex and in the transept of the church. They also built a cross at the end of the Assumption Church that is a receptacle for 4 plates, each illustrating one of the families. Once a year, these plaques are gathered and placed on the cross to allow the inhabitants of St. Exel to have a moment of commemoration for its history and its ancestors.
Only one destination for you, my bag.
While I was crossing the church to reach the altar, I noticed light coming from an inaccessible room located just below. It's probably a kind of forbidden crypt, but then why would there be light inside? Considering the police are looking for cult members, this would be a perfect place for them to regroup in total secrecy. There's a procedure to follow to unlock the crypt's access, but it's going to be complicated. The door lock is linked to a mechanism inside the memorial cross. If I place 4 commemorative plates, the cross will unlock the door automatically. Well, supposedly, at least. Right now, only one of the 4 plates is inserted on this cross, the one honoring the Duc de Bliard. The others are scattered in various places in St. Exel. I have to go to the church to learn a little more about the other plates. They seem to be commemorating specific families whose tombs are inside the church itself. My investigation is turning into a treasure hunt. How great. Last note. Based on the documents, the key that unlocks most of the doors in the church is hidden at the heart of the cross, and I can already access it.
The door is locked up. Now that I have the key, I will finally find out what is hiding behind this restaurant. These docks look different. This side must be less frequented by tourists. The sect has already been there. They were really harassing people wherever they were. This door can be unlocked from the other side. This is a sea organ. It turns waves into music. That's poetic. Let's take a walk. Just you and me. Nothing.
Behind all great puzzles lies an even greater man. Welcome to one of the original creations from George's workshop. Yet may the force be with you. Yet solve this puzzle and win a coin to use in George's workshop. Yet may the force be with you. It would be funny if this table said interesting things at times, wouldn't it? This one is the easiest, I'm sure of it. Let's solve this puzzle and win a coin to use in George's workshop. It would be funny if this table said interesting things at times, wouldn't it? The next solve this puzzle and win a coin to use in George's workshop. For each coin you can get, a prize awaits you near Nico the robot in George's workshop. Yet may the force be with you.
of St. Exel. Following on the storm warning, fishermen's lockers need to be emptied earlier this year. Please get your number plates back on the board and revert your locker's codes to their initial values. P.S. In case you forgot, the initial code is your number plate number. Town of St. Exel. Following on the... Please get your number plates back on the board and revert your P.S. In case you forgot, the initial code is your number plate number. Let me get this straight. 2 of the lockers were not emptied, so I need to find 2 boat number plates out there. With a bit of luck, the fishermen didn't change the code. Snow and rain? Not a good mix.
Ne m'oublie pas.